জুয়েল ইন দ্য লোটাস হিন্দু ধর্মের নিগুড় তত্ত্ব। এ বইটি বাংলা অনুবাদ প্রকাশনী অনুষ্ঠান সম্পূর্ণ হল কলকাতায় 20 এপ্রিল 2024 শনিবার কলকাতার সত্যজিৎ রায় অডিটোরিয়ামে প্রকাশিত হল শিবের লেখা বই জুয়েল ইন দ্য লোটাস। শ্রীএম একজন যোগী, তিনি মধুকরনাথ নামেও পরিচিত। শ্রীএম একজন আধ্যাত্মিক পথপ্রদর্শক, সমাজ সংস্কারক এবং শিক্ষাবিদ। তিনি সৎসঙ্গ ফাউন্ডেশনের প্রধান। 2011 সালে তিনি তার আত্মজীবনীমূলক বই লিখেছিলেন। হিমালয়বাসী গুরুর ছত্রছায়া এক যোগীর আত্মকথা ছিল বইটির নাম, যা তাৎক্ষণিকভাবে বেস্ট সেলার হয়ে ওঠে। বছরের পর বছর ধরে তার মিশন বেশ কয়েকটি স্কুল, সৎসঙ্গ স্বাস্থ্য কেন্দ্রের সামগ্রিক এবং ব্যাপকভাবে মানুষকে সাশ্রয়ী মূল্যের স্বাস্থ্যসেবা প্রদান করে। একই সঙ্গে মানব একতা মিশন এবং সর্বধর্ম কেন্দ্র, যা আন্তঃবিশ্বাসের সম্প্রীতি প্রচারও করে থাকে, এমন অনেক উদ্যোগের জন্ম দিয়েছে এই সংস্থা। এদিনের এই অনুষ্ঠানে উপস্থিত ছিলেন লেখক শ্রীএম স্বয়ং, এ বইটির বাংলা অনুবাদক শ্রী ঋত্বিক মুখার্জি, এবং বিশেষ অতিথি হিসাবে এদিন উপস্থিত ছিলেন শ্রী হর্ষবর্ধন নেউটিয়া, যার হাত ধরেই এই বইটি প্রকাশিত হল। শ্রী হর্ষবর্ধন নেউটিয়া একজন উদ্যোক্তা এবং বর্তমানে আম্বুজা নেউটিয়া গ্রুপের চেয়ারম্যান।
Respected Shri M, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a great honor and privilege for me to be present with His Grace right here. For many, many years, I have had the privilege of reading the works of many masters, including some of the works of Mr. M, Shri M. I feel that today, more than ever before, the need to understand some of the governing principles that make our life meaningful and worthwhile and help us navigate the turbulence that we see around. Such interventions, such discourses, such teachings, and such wisdom are extremely important for all our lives. I think it gives us a kind of a guiding platform on how to go through the various challenges we all face. And fortunately, our land is blessed to have many such very enlightened people. Of course, we've had a whole tradition of that over the years, over the ages, from the sages to great thinkers. And Shri M takes forward that same tradition of bringing to us in an easy to understand, practical way how we can go about our life, navigate the challenges that we face, and achieve success, happiness, but most importantly, peace of mind. Thank you, sir, for enlightening us time and again. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind presence.
অনেকেই সুবিশাল প্রাচীন সাহিত্য, গভীর অধিবিদ্যা সহ ভগবদ গীতা, উপনিষদ, হিন্দু ধর্মের সত্যতা এবং বাস্তবতার প্রকৃত প্রকৃতি অন্বেষণ করার চেষ্টা করে থাকেন। তবু থেকে যায় প্রশ্ন, জলে গজানো পদ্মের মতো যার পাতা এবং পাপড়ি শুকনো থাকে, যোগীরাও জড় জগৎ থেকে প্রলোভনে অমিল ও অস্পৃশ্য থাকে। এভাবেই যারা আধ্যাত্মিক জীবনযাপন করতে চান, তিনি একই সঙ্গে আধুনিক সমাজের একজন দায়িত্বশীল সদস্যের ভূমিকা পালন করতে পারেন। আধ্যাত্মিক হতে জগৎ থেকে পালিয়ে যেতে হয় না, যা এই বইয়ের পাঠকরা পাবেন এ বিষয়ে দৃষ্টান্ত। এ বইটি হিন্দু ধর্মের দর্শন, আধ্যাত্মিকতা, শিক্ষা, অধিবিদ্যা অনুশীলনগুলোর সঠিক ধারণা প্রদান করে।
So good morning everybody once again. I read somewhere that long ago one of the Swamijis from Ramakrishna Mission Order was asked to talk about Vedanta in one of the largest auditoriums in Florida or somewhere in the US. So he came, he appeared on the stage and suddenly asked, so I hope you all know what I'm going to speak today. So everybody raised their hands. And then he said, since you know everything what I'm going to say, what I am for, I am leaving. Then he immediately made a move. So the audience got very upset. So after a few days, the organizers could convince again that same Swami to come over again and speak to the same set of audience. So this time the audience spoke to them among themselves, so they were well prepared. So when Swami asked, I'm sure you all know what I'm going to speak today, then they were cleverly, half of them raised their hands and half of them didn't. So then he said, those who know what I'm going to say, please make the others understand what I'm going to say. Again, many more. So after some time, maybe 2 months down the road, they could again convince the Swami to come all over again to the stage and address them. So this time they were even more intelligent, the audience. So when he asked, no one did raise their hands and no one didn't say anything. So then he said, so this is the perfect time to learn Vedanta. This silence is very important. So I wish we could also have that silence here and could only listen to what Sir has to say, instead of me asking so many questions. But I will just go on narrating some of my experience and put forward few questions to you. The first thing which appeared to my mind is, why did you choose this name, which comes from a Tibetan or Buddhist chant, while describing the essence of Hinduism or the deeper aspects of Hinduism? Does this mean that the essence of Hinduism encompass everything that is there in other religion as well?
Now, what is the Bangla translation? What do you call it?
Jewel in the lotus. I deliberately kept the same
Jewel
name.
in the lotus. मैंने कहा बंगला में कुछ क्या बोलेंगे if you translate it?
Padde Moniratna.
So if you had translated that into Bengali and used this Mani Ratna inside the lotus metaphor, would you have thought that this is outside Hindu system of thought? No. So I wrote jewel in the lotus not because of the Buddhist mantra, which of course is quite okay in its own place. There's no problem about that. But because we are discussing here the deeper aspects of the teachings of the Hindu system of thought, which of course is a large thing. It embraces Jainism, Buddhism, or the scriptures which are strictly belonging to Brahmanism, and also the several teachers who have come after that, like Guru Nanak, Kabir. If you ask an average person who say, I'm a Hindu, he would say this is all part of our teaching. Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma, everything is included. The other reason why I use this title, this is my first book actually. My first book that I wrote many years ago, maybe 2010, 2009, it was published in English in Delhi. Some publisher, I can't even remember now. And therefore, when I said jewel in the lotus, what I meant was in every human being, there is the lotus. Doesn't mean that there is a physical lotus, you know what I mean. There is a lotus in our hearts. When I say heart again, not the organ that pumps blood, like you say heart of the matter, essence of our being, there is a lotus which is a symbol of unfolding of consciousness. And in the middle of it is a jewel. This jewel is the essence of our being, which we call the Atman, which is in effect a manifestation in a small way of the Supreme Consciousness. So therefore I called it jewel in the lotus. Now, even in Kriya, which I teach, many others also teach Kriya. One of our important exercises is to visualize a jewel sitting in the lotus. It's part of the process. Now, while we do that, we chant a certain Vijachara in Kriya. Now, what we should also not forget that the Buddhists, especially the Vajrayana Buddhists, they have a set of yogic exercises. If you want to know more about that, you should read something written by Dr. Evans Vance called, I think it's called Hidden Teachings of Tibet or something like that. I'm not sure. Or the classic text which the Buddhist, Vajrayana Buddhist study. It is called Kunjang Lama Shalom in Tibetan language, which means words of my perfect master by Patrul Rinpoche. You will find that they also have such an exercise where they visualize a jewel in the lotus. And that they chant as Om Mani Padme Hum, which when translated means Om jewel in the lotus Hum. Hum is a bijakshara. But when I wrote the book, it is not because of that. I am saying that that is also there. So this is why I gave it this title. Also because people look at the lotus and they miss the jewel inside. And it's an ancient symbol. Sri Ramakrishna, the Ramakrishna mission also has a lotus. Satsang Foundation also has a lotus.
Within that Kulakundalini, there is a lotus.
The Theosophical Society also has a lotus. Buddha always sat in Padmasana. All the great rishis and yogis, Patanjali sat in Padmasana. Yogeshwara, who is visualized as Naranarayan practicing austerities and represented as Vishweshwara in Badrinarayan, also sits in Padmasana. So, Padma means basically a spiritual awareness, which is the jewel and the essence of our being. This is why I chose that. It has no political connotations. If politics has appropriated, that is fine. I'm nothing against that. But I didn't write this book because of that. Why I'm saying this? After I was young then, I was in Delhi. I had come back from the Himalayas and I was working with somebody as a journalist like you. And then Kushwant Singh was then the editor of Hindustan Times. Doyen journalist. So I went to meet him. One day we became great friends. So I went to his house for dinner. I took a copy, Jewel in the Lotus. The original cover had a big lotus also on it. Huge. So I gifted it to him. I said, Sadaji, please read this and tell me what you think of it. Are you a BJP man? Yeah. I said, no, sir, it's nothing like that. I have no such political connection. I mean, I may know people, but I don't belong to any party officially. No, I'm just asking, he said. Then he said, will you eat chicken? I said, no. Again, he said, are you BJP? I said, look, I don't want to eat chicken, so I don't eat chicken. Then he said, I have a habit of having scotch in the night. So would you like to try one? I said, no, I don't want to have scotch. He said, why? He said, because you were born in a Muslim family. I said, no, I don't want to. So people can read many things for themselves and say this is what it is, but it is not so. So now you know why.
The same tradition goes on actually. When I first approached Mr. Neodia and he got to know about the name of the book, he said, I have read several books of Mr. M. Then he said, Sri M. But why has he become a BJP man these days? Why lotus on top of the book?
But there is no lotus.
No, name. In the name there is a lotus. The other thing which...
Having said that, I am not saying that they're bad or good or anything of that kind. Many good things have been done, we agree with that. There may be some things which human beings can always commit mistakes. That also may be there. Look at the good thing, don't look at the bad thing. On person to person, I have friends, but they are not only in this, but I have other friends also, so it doesn't mean it.
Friends knows no boundary actually. So the other thing that strikes one most is the kind of tagline, Hindu Dharmer Niguro Tattva, or the deeper aspects of Hinduism. So I was also intrigued whether in these books I will find something to clear the perception about Hinduism, which we normally perceive the religion to be, and in some cases it is also imposed upon us the way Hinduism should be. But while going through the book and then while checking the proof again, then again doing the second proof, I read it a number of times. I found no mention of such things. What I found in the book is it talks about, as he mentioned, self-exploration, going deeper into one's own mind, and then the way we should live our life. So, is Hinduism essentially a way of life, or is it religion or so-called religion neutral?
If you think of religion as normally defined, which means you should follow one book or one teacher, one prophet, then Hinduism is not a religion. It's not that kind of religion. When you say Sanatana Dharma, it's a gathering of wisdom that has come down to us from so many sages from time immemorial. See, I may be a Jain. I follow total non-violence. Some of them don't even eat garlic and onion. I know some people. But if they are pursuing the inner, then automatically they fall into the category of Sanatana Dharma. They are not outside it. A Buddhist who is trying to purify his mind and move towards nirvana also doesn't fall out of this category. Because Sanatana Dharma is something to do with our daily practices, daily also understanding of how deep our inner being is, and not just outside ceremonials. Okay. Now on the other hand, if somebody is following ceremony, then also he doesn't fall outside the Sanatana Dharma. Now this is unique in the Hindu system of thought, if you look at it. It's not a religion of priests and no, you understand what I mean? The priestdom came into existence because our people forgot how to perform their own rituals and homas and yajnas. There the priest came into being. Before that, no priest. You do your own. And even if you read the Bible, so this is interesting. Somebody once went to meet Swami Vivekananda. And he said, I see all pictures here, I don't see Jesus Christ. So you don't have any respect for Jesus Christ? He said, no, on the other hand, on the contrary, we respect Jesus Christ. You have brought him down one level by saying he is the Son of God. But if Jesus had lived in India, he would have been one of the avatars or great beings that lived. He would God himself. Avatar means God, right? So why did you brought him one step down? So we really appreciate that. But we also worship others, not only Jesus. You see, this is the whole thing about Sanatana Dharma. It is something that it's for humanity. It is all embarrassing. The fire worship done by the Parsis was the Agni Homas that were done in ancient times in the Vedas. They took that out and concentrated on it. The Yoga Shastras are part of the Yoga Darshanas, among the 6 Darshanas in the Hindu system of thought. Vedanta again is among them. Mahavira and the Tirthankaras who were there, they were people who practiced the practice of living a yogic life to the extreme. Everybody cannot do that. So I would put all of this together and say, if you want to look at the deeper aspect, I can have no better definition than what Swami Vivekananda, of course, borrowed it from the Upanishad, which is Atmano Mokshartha Jagat Hitaya. Moksha for the Atman and hit good works for the public, for the people. If these two combine, You can say I belong to any religion, but you are still part of the Hindu system of thought. Except if you say that I am only right and everybody else is wrong, so all other books must be burnt, then you are not. Which happens. Now this can happen only in religions where there is only one teacher and one book. We have innumerable. If somebody asks what is the most important book of the Hindus, very difficult to say. Vedas are there, Gita is there, Brahmanas are there, Bhagavat is there. Which one can you say this is the only book? We cannot say. That means from the beginning the rishis have appreciated the unlimited potential of the Supreme Being's manifestations in many ways. Therefore, in ancient times, the Rig Veda also said, Ekam Satvipra Bahuda Vedanti. There is only one truth, but the wise may call it by different names. This is the meaning of the essence, which I am trying to.
Is this similar to what Thakur also used to say, Joto Mat Toto Pat?
Now here in Thakur, we find a person who is not merely theoretically understanding these things, but who had dived deep into the essence of this, the Hindu system of thought, Sanatana Dharma. And he came out saying, once Swamiji said also, that usually in one life one practices one sadhana and attains perfection in that. Here is the case of a person who practiced many sadhanas and finally said the goal is the same. That's why he called him Avatara Varishta, the great avatar. Because normally in one life you do one thing and that's it. He went through as if he had come for that purpose through all. In the end, he even practiced some Christian discipline with Michael Madhusudan Datta's help. He went through the whole, and then finally he said, yes, I have seen, it is the same. This is not easy unless you are such a advanced being. It's not possible. So you're right. This is probably what he said.
What we are going through today, or the way we are today, there is a problems of plenty. Does that what you mean to say? Because we have so many priests, so many preachers, so many scriptures. So here is a classical case of problems of plenty.
I would say, let's start with this understanding that if Sanatana Dharma, if you may call it Hindu system, is wiped out from this world, there will be nothing left for human beings to cling to. I'm not talking from a political point of view. Because there is nothing that you can hang on which has so wide in its content. So it's our duty to protect it in whichever way we can. Because it's a sorry thing for the whole world, not only for India. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu is what the Upanishads declare, not just one geographical locality. So it's very important that we look into this. Now, while it is true that we have many approaches, in one way it dilutes, on the other way it expands the mind. If you have only one thought and one direction in which we move, and one belief system which you want to follow, you don't believe in any other systems, in a way, a lot of energy is built up. But because of the intolerance of others, that energy can be misused. There are people, millions of people in the world who pray only in one direction, wherever part of the world they are in. So what happens? A lot of energy builds up. In the Hindu system of thought, it's not like that. You don't have one. See, even in a family, there may be somebody who's a Shaivite and another who's a Vaishnavite. Now the usual argument is, so it is getting diluted. I'm saying no. It's like the ocean. It's so huge that it allows all rivers to flow into it. It's not as if it doesn't say only this river should flow. Ganga should flow, Yamuna should be dammed. So it has its own advantage. Otherwise, it might turn into a kind of fanatic system, which is not. And we are saved because I think in the future the world will be saved by this Sanatana Dharma. When people begin to understand, already in the West and outside this country, people understand this. From the time Swamiji went, it has been, before that also a few people went, but when Swamiji went, they realized that this country, which we thought was in darkness, which was illiterate and ignorant, actually has so much wisdom. They woke up to it. This waking up and expansion is still continuing, and it's our duty to make sure that this happens because it's a hope to humanity.
I will also not go into politics, but whatever you said, does that mean that if we had to go into the deeper aspects of Hinduism, we first need to go into the deeper aspects of politics as well? Because on one hand,
I refuse to discuss politics.
no, I'm not getting into politics, but since you said Sanatan Dharma has all the solution, I mean, it's accommodative, it's inclusive, so and all the problems or many of the problems of today are waved around the political system, which tries to, some way, one way or the other, impose certain things that if you are this, if you go to this temple, you're okay. If you go to some other things, if you do some other things, it's not okay. So where the solution lies, we're making it the problem or the hub of problem.
The solution lies in changing the hearts of human beings. It cannot come through reform. Reform has a limited effect. The moment the reformer is gone, the reform slowly peter out. So, the idea is to change human beings' minds. If one human being changes, what I'm saying is it all starts here, inside, not me. And if that happens, one human being can change hundreds of people. Now, if such a human being goes into even politics, it's possible to bring about a better political system. You cannot say, why? No, I don't want to go for my own reasons because I think there are other people who will take care of that. My job is to inspire people, to make their minds good, to make their hearts good. When such people go into politicians have power, immense power, which we do not have. Not spiritual power, power to change, power to reform. So if their hearts are changed, tremendous things can happen in this world. So this is my job. I influence people and try to make them understand this. Then it's their business to do their work. So also, but we should not remember that this country is the root of this teaching. That we cannot forget. And therefore we should sustain and protect and keep this intact because this is the hope of the world. So if anybody is doing anything for that, I appreciate it. That need not mean hatred for others. You see, reform and change does not mean hatred. Hatred is not part of the story. In fact, you can change somebody through love than through hatred. Hatred brings fear. Out of fear, if you change, when the fear, the cause of fear is removed, it's gone. It should come from within. I rub shoulders with political people of all hues. But everybody knows that I don't fit into anything. At the same time, they also know that deep down I have a soft corner for Sanatana Dharma because it's the hope for the world in future. So this is my work.
Is Sanatana Dharma is different from Hinduism in the common parlance?
No. Everything can be included. If a person goes and, normally what we do, we go to temples and say, may I get a first class, then I'm going to write my exam. You can't say this is outside Sanatana. Human beings, when they find that things are not in their hands, they try to ask God, please help me. That is also not out. But the essence of Sanatana Dharma is to understand the divine element in our hearts. This is what it means. But see, this is the beauty of it. Even a person who worships a an image or a vigraha regularly and doesn't know any Vedanta, he's still a Sanatani. A person who says, no, all this, like Dayananda Saraswati says, no need of all this, just think of the Atman and read the Upanishad. He's also a Sanatani. You cannot take. So, this is the wide appeal of this Dharma, which I call here deeper aspects of Hinduism. This is what I mean. Because it goes to the soul. It doesn't deal much with the externals. Root. Essence, let's put it.
A few time back you mentioned about this and the way Khusban Singh asked you about whether you have chicken or not. So this vegetarianism versus non-vegetarianism, this is also a kind of, it keeps sparking of debates every now and then. So
Let me see. In childhood, I grew up in a household where morning, evening, afternoon, if possible, they would have even squeezed a little mutton into the tea. They didn't, but I grew up like till the age of, just exaggerating, till the age of say 6, 7. Then I had an urge in my mind because I used to see the animals being killed. There was a grandfather of mine who would not buy anything from outside because he thought it was useless. He had to. When I saw that, I decided, no, I am not part of this. So I slowly withdrew. I started eating eggs, of course, and left everything else. Off and on, I also used to have sometimes, because my mother thought that I had to be taken to the lunatic asylum because of all this. So to please her, to keep her happy, I thought this is not going to hurt anybody. So sometimes I used to have. Then I came to the Ramakrishna mission. When I came to the Ramakrishna mission, I was a pure vegetarian. I wouldn't even eat eggs. Then I go to Belur Math, and one first day there, I'm standing near the dining kitchen, and I see monks with cloths tied around their heads cutting fish. And I was horrified. I thought, where have I landed here? So then I was standing like that. So one senior Swami came to me and tapped me like this. He said, look, if you don't want to eat fish, you don't eat. Don't stand there and gape. Go to the vegetarian Go to the vegetarian section. So then I began to understand, I became more tolerant about these matters. That I must say it is because then I found that Thakur also ate fish. That doesn't mean I should eat fish. Somebody said, I'm smoking. Why? Swamiji also smoked. I said, wait, Swamiji did many other things. You can only smoke. So that is not a good excuse. So I think you must start your life with simplifying your food habits as much as you can. Whatever food you get, you eat. But if you are a sadhak, after some time, you will feel that I can survive without causing injury to animals. This occurs to your mind, drop it. Otherwise, it will come back. Even if you drop it, you see, basically it's a question of taste. Yes. That gets stuck. Now, don't say that I am a non-vegetarian because Thakur had fish and Swamiji had. That is not an excuse, because I know many senior Swamijis of the Ramakrishna order who are completely vegetarian. They don't say, because he did this, I have to do this. Moment you feel in your heart that I can live without, you should drop it. Unless it's on some medical advice. But doctor says you need more protein. Nowadays you can get protein even without that.
Protein supplements.
Yeah. So I prefer to, but sometimes when you come to Bengal, to Calcutta, sometimes you're a little bit tempted to have mochar jhol and a little bit of fish, more the jhol than the fish, but I enjoy it because of habit. I would suggest that a vegetarian way of life is great. It also, don't tell me this, that vegetables also have life. And vegetables have life, but they don't have a developed brain to experience the pain that an animal has when it is. Plus, when you eat a fruit, for instance, you don't eat the whole tree. You take a fruit, you don't destroy the unit. Take one part of it, more apples grow, you can eat again. So keeping this in mind, follow a reasonable way of life. Don't get fanatic in either way. If you ask me, I would prefer to have vegetarian food, except an occasional mochar jhol, but only if it is made in Bengal. It doesn't taste the same.
That's the deeper aspects of Bengal, actually. They can turn even a vegetarian into a
Absolutely.
occasional
I
non-vegetarian.
agree with you. Otherwise, Thakur would not have been born here.
But basically, it's all about personal preferences, personal requirement.
One more thing I forgot to tell you. Since you asked me the person, when you are doing intense sadhana, it's good to be vegetarian. Especially when you're doing intense sadhana or tapasya, like for 15 days, I want to spend more time chanting, meditating, doing nothing else, just going. This time, it is important that you have it. Why? Because simply that in most cases, except exceptional cases, non-vegetarian food causes a certain heat in the system, which can translate itself into sexual conflagrations. Now, when you're peacefully trying to settle your mind, now this will come in the way. So even people who eat meat, they spend time when they are in sadhana to be off it for some time. Just like you do Ekadashi, and so on. So it's a good idea to do that. But to the thing that is it tasty, I would say vegetarian food can also be made very tasty. That your vegetarian thing, that shukto is so nice. I love to eat. So.
In your book, you have given instances of people like Hitler who were vegetarians and yet so violent in their own way.
Absolutely. Hitler was so vegetarian that he refused to shake hands with the king of Saudi, those days, Abdul Aziz, because he said, I do not want to shake hands with meat-eating barbarians. He forgot how many Jews went to the chamber. So that's not a criteria. However, it's generally if you eat sattvic food, you have a sattvic nature. These are exceptions. These are people who come to do some kind of revolution which makes people to realize in future how much harm somebody can cause. Today, Germans don't like to speak about it because they suffered themselves after the war. Yeah. So that is an exception. I'm talking in general.
You keep saying or keep preaching about moderations as well, that don't eat too much and don't eat too less either. So moderation is very important also.
Now, somebody says, I am a pure vegetarian. I eat only sattvic food. Okay, great, wonderful. Then you must see that one meal is 3 meals put together. Now, this is not sattvic food. Sattvic food not only means what you eat, but the quantity you eat and how much you eat. All these matters to make it sattvic. So we have to keep that also in mind. The golden rule, as Krishna says in the Gita, is this yoga, you translate that yoga into spiritual search. It's not for him who eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or sleeps too little. Moderation is required. Did you finally manage to light the lamp? Good. So please watch out why it didn't light. So next time make sure that it happens. Huh.
So you can actually lit up in other ways also, many minds.
No, but as a ritual, it's that ghee got too solidified at the end of the wick. And there was a wind coming also, I think.
So when you spoke of Swamiji, there are people who often cite that Swamiji used to smoke, therefore I also have the right to smoke. I am reminded of a person I used to know who used to defend his drinking habits, giving instances of Michael Madhusudan Datta. See how much Michael Madhusudan Datta used to drink, and even Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar used to pay him for drinking only. So then somebody sitting right in front of him told him, Madhusudan Datta, after having so much of booze, wrote so many sonnets. So how many sonnets have you written?
These are only excuses. This is what I told you. Swamiji smoked, yes, but Swamiji did. But he was a very transparent and intelligent man, and he said what he did not pretend that he did not. He didn't hide somewhere and smoke. He wanted to smoke, he smoked. But that doesn't mean he did many things. Many hundred things that you can write down which you cannot do. You can only smoke. I mean, can you do that? No, you can't. And Swamiji, after a while, did not care for his body. So he said, doesn't matter. He was into some other trip, so he didn't care. So we don't have to do that. We need to look after our bodies. We need to move forward. Not all the monks of the Ramakrishna mission, do you think they're all smoking because Swamiji smoked? No, because he didn't say imitate me. But because he smoked and he was so transparent, when he wrote the rules and regulations of the Ramakrishna mission, he wrote, no intoxicant other than tobacco may be used in the premises. Because that would be hypocrisy if he would sit there and smoke and says nothing is allowed here. Now, there is nothing intrinsically wrong with smoking except that it is deeply habit forming and it's difficult to get out. One. Second, it affects the lungs. So if you want to do pranayam or kriya or anything connected to that, avoid, because it blocks the, what are they called, bronchioles. Avoid.
So in your book, another important aspect is like the conversation between Guru and Shishya, the way it happened between you and your Guruji. But at times people tend to, instead of following their Guru, they tend to imitate them. A few minutes ago only you mentioned about imitating Guru, imitating Thakur. So what is the difference between following a Guru and imitating them, or how to avoid imitating a Guru and just following their path?
I'll give you a few examples. At one time, I used to grow my hair and tie it up here. Lots of youngsters started doing it, so I cut it off. Yeah, funny. So I cut it off. Now I cut it off, many have cut them off. Does it really have any bearing on your spiritual practice? Because in spiritual practice, we are not in the business of making clones. We want each person to be original, stand on their own feet, follow the principles and follow the teachings, but you don't have to imitate the teacher. Imitating the teacher is not going to take us any, especially outward imitation. Like I wear one, everybody is wearing that kind of. It doesn't matter. You'll see that in many places. In some places, I have seen all the followers wear the same dress. All the followers, if possible, have a long hair and tie it up and all that. All the followers will have a beard. So, but all that, also some of them have those, what you call a ready-made bleached smile. Namaskar. This is an air hostess smile. It doesn't mean anything.
Plastic smile.
Plastic smile. That is not what is intended. You don't have to imitate. Just because the Guru is smiling, you don't have to smile. Right? So, all this, I've seen some very kind people who look so grumpy. The outward expression is not so important. So don't imitate. Rather, follow the teachings. Don't think because I went to the Himalayas and wandered and found my teacher, everybody should go after the Himalayas. Not required. I discovered after going there that the teacher will come to you if you are ready. So imitating is not a good idea, but to follow the teachings, to practice yourself, these are good things to do.
You mentioned stories of Janak Raja, then Ramana Maharshi and others, just to drive home the point that it does not only your knowledge leads to darkness or greater darkness, which you explained through Upanishad and all that. Does knowledge also lead to ego, the problems which in some of these incidents you mentioned in your book?
Knowledge can also lead to great ego. Because I think I know everything, therefore I am greater than everybody else. Now, it's okay, you may know many things, but keep your mind open, don't close it. Because if you close it, then you are limiting it. Knowledge is such that more you know, you discover that you need to know more. If you think this is the end of knowledge, it is not possible. Knowledge doesn't end there. Knowledge is infinite. You can never stop learning. Therefore, when I put a stop to it saying that I know, then you are not keeping your mind open to know more. That's one thing. The other is theoretically gathering information is good in some way, but it doesn't lead you to spiritual perfection. Because we know examples of people who have not studied anything, gone to school, I'm not saying you should not go to school. No. Who have, Thakur, for instance, could barely sign his name. And all these philosophers and all these guys used to come and sit near him and try to learn from him. So what could he teach if he... And he never said he had any knowledge. He said all his knowledge came from the mother. So that is why I say that the ego should not be allowed to fatten itself on saying that I know, I have knowledge of this. It's good to learn, it's good to gather knowledge, provided we know that it has no end, and therefore if you don't keep your mind open, you have built a shell and you cannot know more. And ultimately, when you touch the essence of your being, there is nothing to be known. Not because you know everything, but because you have attained the end of your satisfaction and there is nothing more to satisfy you. So what will you do by reading something else? That is the reason. Not because when a person is self-realized, they think he has become omniscient. He is not. You can't go and ask him about physics, for instance. Let me give you an example. Ramana Maharshi hardly spoke. He would just sit there quietly, sometimes a few things. A young man goes to him who says he is in Maunavrat. That young man. We don't know that. And he has been there for 3 days. Then he goes to see Maharshi while he is sitting there. And I'm sorry I'm not turning that side because he is sitting here. So, what did I say? So he goes to him and he still doesn't talk. Takes a piece of paper and writes on it in Tamil, sends it. So Maharshi picks up the paper and reads it. He is also silent, but then he breaks his silence for this. The paper says, I have been here for 3 days. I have not had food. I am hungry. I see you feeding monkeys. Nobody asked about me. What is this? Now, I would say that many of the so-called modern gurus now would say, I knew it, but I was testing you. What does Maharshi say? How do I know that you are hungry? You should open your mouth and tell me. Then I would have known that you're hungry and I would have fed you. Anyway, I'm feeding monkeys. He didn't say we don't have closed circuit cameras, but it's almost that, which means he was not pretending, you see. He could have easily said, I know you're hungry. I was testing you for 3 days. No. He said, how do I know? If you don't speak, speak. Then I will know. So when one becomes spiritual, it doesn't mean one knows everything. Of course, the yogi, because of his training, can concentrate on something and find out easier than most people. This I understand. But if you go and ask him about how the atom bomb is actually made, why would you go and ask him? You should ask the physicist, right? Ask him how is it possible to reach the Atman. So these misunderstandings have to go. Then you get wrong knowledge because the guy doesn't want others to think that he doesn't know. So he'll say some blunder and you will accept it as the truth. Now this is dangerous. It happens often. The other thing is, we have to watch out. If a person sprinkles a little bit of terms from physics and so on, here and there, then you all sit up, oh, this is scientific. After that, he talks nonsense. That is also observed. You see that? That is put there only to make you feel that he must be right because he's talking science. But what comes out after that may be total rubbish, but you lap everything up. So these are certain things that one has to keep in mind in this world, in Kali Yuga.
This is also a difficult practice, actually.
Of course it is. Look, let's put it this way. Spiritual path is not an easy path. It is a difficult path. If you persist, you win. And the Upanishad declares that it is like Surasya Dhara. It's like walking on the edge of a razor. You must have read Somerset Maugham's book, The Razor's Edge. Now the Razor's Edge he wrote after going to Ramana Ashram and coming out. It's about a taxi driver, cab driver, who is a wise man, who knows everything. You must have. Which means that what he was trying to say, that actual truth is like walking on the edge of a razor. You have to balance. You can cut your soles. You can fall this way, that way. If you keep steady, you will go across.
Somewhere else in your book, you mentioned about, you took a leaf out of Mahabharata or Bhagavad Gita, where you mentioned that how Krishna used to praise Arjuna, giving him different attributes like Gudakesha, Mahabali, etc., Mahabahu, so that he doesn't get upset. There is a need to, boost one's morale as well. But if at times we think that we start from the belief that we don't know anything, that also kind of deflates your, you call it ego or you call it mentality, attitude, outlook, whatever name you may like to give it.
That is true if we start like that, but most people don't start that way. So we need to guide them along. Sometimes I keep praising people, knowing fully well that they don't deserve the praise, because so that they hope, with the hope that they will not lose their,
morale
and become, like Krishna say, when Arjuna says, I can't do this, this is not possible for me. Next verse, Krishna calls him Mahabaho, oh mighty armed one. So this is psychiatrist's job actually, to push you up. Because otherwise they are so depressed, you tell them, hey, you useless, that's it. Either they will go and find somebody who would say useless is good, or they will go and write me a long email, I'm going to die because so you say, oh, you're wonderful. Sometimes you have to. That's psychological, it may not be true. So sometimes we have to be in a teacher's role, do all these things. But if you start yourself saying, I don't know, I must find out, that is the best thing possible. But actually there are people who know something. There is not a single human being who doesn't have something nice. Something must be there. Even though I've seen people who are like, you think they're rogues. You be with them for 2-3 days and you discover even that rogue has some good quality inside. So train yourself to look only at the good quality. Don't tell them, then their egos will go up. Look in, find out that good quality and work in such a way that other things fall off slowly. Now for that sometimes you'll have to be with them and make them think good and that you're with them and so on, and then slowly when they can stand on their own feet, then generally I don't drink alcohol. I don't need alcohol because I'm drunk anyway. Others who are not drunk may be having it for getting drunk, but I don't need it. I think I bring myself down to a sober state to deal with things. Otherwise I'm gone. My wife knows. Now, sometimes there are I have a big connection with some of the erstwhile royal families, of which you may be knowing. Many of the men are. So, once with one of those people, he said, sir, in the palace, please have a drink. We'll dedicate it to the mother, Jaya Bhavani and all. And he gave me to him. I drank with him. After drinking with him, then it all was over. 3 days later, his elder brother called me and said, I don't know what you have done. This man has stopped drinking alcohol. I said, is that a good thing? Or you sound as if you are complaining. No. He said, I am complaining because it is needed in our society. He said, what did you do to him? I said, I didn't do anything. I sat, I had a drink. No, don't imitate, okay? I'll make somebody better, so I'll go and drink with you. So then the word spread and I was safe. You know why? None of the men in the royal families ever want to have a drink with me. I think it will fall off. So I am saved. So sometimes one has to do certain things, but do not imitate. Because if I do something, it may be for some reason. When I was in the Devghar Vidyapit, in the Ramakrishna Mission Vidyapit in Devghar, I was in charge of the senior hostel. The senior hostel of the Ramakrishna Vidyapit used to be, I don't know now, such a place where the worst fellows, boys' school, who will not be disciplined anywhere are put there, thrown there. And +2 boys, CBSE, were married already. Mustache. I think Siddharth Shankar Rai's grandson was also studying there, 9th standard. And Chandan Maharaj, who was the principal then, put me in charge of the boys' hostel, senior boys' hostel. I was teaching English and also senior boys' hostel. It was a mess. These fellows, in the night they'll go and break the water pot in the principal's room. All kinds of things. So, and smoke, many of them. Not only that, they'll smoke and throw the butts here and there, outside.
Leaving some evidence.
They're known. One day I called them. I said, listen, you guys want to smoke? You smoke. Though it is not good for the lungs, but I don't want to tell you suddenly to stop smoke. But there is one condition. Get a big can. Keep it with you. There is one hall there where we have assemblies. Go to that hall. Don't here and there. Don't go and hide. Smoke there when you want to smoke. Reduce it to at least 1 or 2 a day. And then put the butts in that can. And every day one boy's duty is to take that, empty it in the dustbin and bring it back and keep it clean. If you do that, I will also smoke with you. They were shocked. So, first couple of days I also went there and sat with them, coughed, smoked and so on. And then after that, slowly they reformed. They became good fellows. And they used to physically fight and so on. How to stop that? I put up a notice saying that all young men who want to learn self-defense, like karate, jiu-jitsu and all, please register your names. Even now, so after some time I was called Karate Maharaj. In fact, one of my old students, one Chatterjee, came to Texas ashram one day. He looks older than me now. He's my student. And he said, do you remember me? I said, no, I don't remember you. He said, but Karate Maharaj. I said, oh, now I remember. So I mixed with them. I taught them some self-defense, which I learned when I was young and so on. And then after that, that unruly behavior vanished. I said, if anybody wants to really feel, they want to vent their feelings, when I'm alone in the gym, you can come and vent it on me. Because you will not get up after that for some time. So, and some of the boys were taller than me also. I had the advantage of having gone to the Kalari, which is a Kerala form of self-defense, from the age of 9 till 19, when I went, almost 10 years. So slowly we could change. Now you have to change, you have to mix with them. Otherwise you cannot change. Honestly, I don't like to go to weddings and gatherings because people there and this food and that, they'll force you to eat food. But I go because then they are happy and then slowly changes will happen. So therefore, not wearing a religious robe acts as an advantage for me because I can go anywhere. Wearing an ochre robe, if some fellow is sitting and drinking for a whole day and the parents are complaining, I cannot walk into a bar and pull him out, right? They say, what is this Swamiji doing here? Now I can go. And if it is in Kerala, I can wear a dhoti, double it up and go. Get out. I can't. So sometimes we have to be with people to make them understand. Danger is if you are not proof, soon you will fall and become like them.
And towards the end of your book, it was really fascinating the way you describe fear of death and how to get over it. So how important is it, or what important role does death play in one's life? Because there are lessons from death as well. Particularly, you narrated one incident where this master who was pretending to be someone else asked him to find out whoever can take his position and ready to die instead of him. So what is the kind of important role and important lessons from death also that one gets?
Yeah. Let me tell you, death is not something to be afraid of. Why? Even if you're afraid of it, it will come. Whether you love it or you don't like it, death will come at some point or the other. It's not as if it will come only after this point. Nobody can say. We used to say that very often. People used to say, yeah, but then COVID came. But a man 26 years old, you see him today, tomorrow is not there. But actually this is the situation always. Although in COVID situation it increased the speed, therefore we noticed it. Nobody has remained. Don't include Babaji in that. Babaji, not my son, he also passed away. Sri Guru Babaji is not a human being born of a womb. All these stories that they circulate is nonsense. He is a being. We don't believe he is born of a womb. He is a being who is here for spiritual. Therefore his body is a Mayavi Rupa. It's not made of the elements that we know. So it can remain as, but you all human beings generally. If you are born, sometime you have to go. And it's not frightening, okay? It's a fact. Understand that and carry on with your life. So that you know that any time death comes, it could have come now also. I'm sitting here, you think everything is safe? The roof can fall on my head. Everybody thought Dubai is so safe. 2 days ago there were such floods, 1.5 years rain happened in 1 hour. Right? So these are unpredictable. Nature's vagaries are unpredictable. Life and death are unpredictable. I'm not saying if somebody dying you should not read them. Okay, you should. But understand that ultimately somebody has to go. Whoever is born on earth. So if you understand this and live, then the fear of death slowly vanishes. And the other reason why we are afraid of death is not so much because of the unknown, little bit because of the unknown, it's because we feel that in death we have to leave behind all the things that we consider dear to us. This is the main fear. Tomorrow if somebody guarantees, you will die tomorrow, first you will be shocked. Oh, but you can take your house, you can take your car, you can take your wife, you can take your children, everything when you die. Then you'll say, okay, then who is afraid of death? The fear of death is that you have to leave behind things which you think are essential for being happy and settled. All these are gone. This is the fear. So when you understand that even when we have all this, actually we are alone. And death is not going to, I'm not painting a bad picture of life, it's a fact. In fact, if you understand this, death is a joyous affair when it comes. You say, okay, from here I'm going now. Thank you very much. Because you are not caught. The pain in death usually, what people feel is they have to leave behind things which they consider dear and near to them. If that is not there, there is no fear of death. And in sadhana, when you realize that you are not the body, then you know that it is the body that dies and not me. The fear goes. So at least if you think of these matters in your daily life, then you are prepared when death comes. Don't say, no, I don't want to prepare, death will never come. Yes, sorry, sir, it will come. Nobody can say no to it. And it's not a curse, it's a blessing. You move to another sphere, new people take over. You want to keep all. It will be like some of the old buildings in Calcutta, some of them are like this. Don't know when they are going to fall. Nobody is demolishing them and building new ones. Death doesn't seem to come to them. So, this is what will happen if human beings continue to live forever. First, now we have a population problem. Right now, what will happen later? So it's all been arranged in such a way that somebody goes and somebody comes. कोई जा रहा है, कोई आ रहा है कभी. So this is normal. So if you accept it that way, then the fear of death does not exist.
Life is like a relay race passing on the baton.
Absolutely. Pass on. People are reluctant to pass on the baton. That is the problem. We have to learn that nobody. See, all the great saints and everybody who talked about immortality, where are they? Physically? Gone. But this is the reality. And this earth, after some time, this will also go. Whenever there is a new Manvantara or Yuga, there is a period fixed. After that it collapses into Pralaya and a new world is created. You can't say this should remain forever. It's not possible. This is the nature of Prakriti. The cycle of birth and death. Accept it. Do good things. Move forward in your spiritual path. Find out that which does not die because it is never born. And it is in us. There is no fear of death.
So is deep sleep also a form of death?
Deep sleep is a short rehearsal every day for the long sleep. Like you sleep. Finally you don't get up, that's all. Yeah, of course, because the body is there in deep sleep, breathing is going on. All that also stops. In Malayalam they say kaatu voi, the air is gone. And then that's it.
That air is pranvayu.
The prana quits the body. In Gujarat they say off ho gaya. So stop.
I wish I could just go on and on like this, but one last question is in your today's quote, and coming to the most recent part of it, you mentioned that while on a spiritual journey, one needs to start from a belief that we are incomplete. Incomplete, and then that leads to humility, which actually helps one. But in this book and elsewhere also, you keep mentioning about that sloka which says Punnasya Punnamada, that even if you take out Punna, completeness, from the completeness, what remains is completeness. So is there a conflict in between them, or?
When the sloka Om Purnamada Purnamidam is understood, it can be understood only when we touch the Purna. If you don't touch the Purna, you cannot understand it. Because you will say Purnamada, okay, maybe. Purnamidam, no. I am not complete. I am incomplete. All my life I have been trying to complete myself, but it is incomplete. But when you understand the fact that your true being is always complete, because it has emerged from that, then that fear is gone. Not till then. Till then that fear remains, because we are still trying to complete the process. When we understand that there is nothing to complete, because in truth, in self, in my pure self, there is nothing to be attained. It's by itself. Self-satisfying and fully. But till then, one needs to, actually it is good to feel incomplete. But understand that this incompleteness cannot be completed through anything in the outside world, but only through inner understanding. If you move that way, then one day you will reach that completeness. Till you reach that, you will know that I am not complete, therefore there will be humility there. Now, so therefore you might conclude, so when you reach there, the humility goes? No. When you reach there, you find that everybody has it, so what is the big deal, man? They don't know it, but they all have it, so. So, that is it.
So we started in the darkness, lights were put off. At this point of time, even if the lights are put off, I think there are enough lights. I mean, it's all of us. All of them are light.
Tamaso Jyotirgamaya, there is full light coming. And I am hoping really that everybody will get lit. We don't know. We will see how it goes. Slowly, slowly. Lead your life, be kind, do good to others, meditate. That's all. And ask for guidance. And whenever possible, this will also happen.
We all are joining that walk for hope.
Where?
There is a hope.
Yes. I thought there is a walk again. The walk of hope, yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think
for
this
giving-
was a good thing instead of speech, no? Dialogue is better. Thank you. Om Shanti Shanti.